As you can see that we didn't start with another picture of another town, but rather with an ocean. That was not in line with the winner here, but as a young guy, I had a dream of sailing around the world. And when I got 20, I got together with some friends and we did sail around the world. And out at Bora Bora, I met this guy. He was a Wall Street honcho kind of guy with his own apartment at Fifth Avenue. He was on his first holiday for 7 years out at Bora Bora, which a lot of people are voting as the most fantastic island in the world. It is beautiful. We love the guy because he was picking up our tabs in the bar. He was only talking about stocks. Everything was stocks. He had no friends to take with him, so he was sitting there alone. He was basically sitting in that bar for a week. Good thing for us. He had one question, and that question remains, and I want to share it with you. And he said, Truls, remember I was 20 at the time, totally broke. He said, Truls, if you were a stock, would you have invested? I wasn't totally sober, but I thought about it for a second, and then he kind of helped me. And he said, the only reason, remember that, the only reason to invest in a stock is that if you think that is worth more tomorrow or the year after. And I said, sure. And what could I lose? I was broke, I was 20, I believed in myself, so yes, I would have invested in me. This guy was 40 years old, and he said, I would not have invested in me. Why am I telling this story to you guys? Well, because now we're facing, it's the first generation we're bringing up now that are looking at the future in a bleaker way than any generation has done. So the question suddenly comes up, are you a future optimist or are you a future pessimist? And it used to be that everyone under 60 were future optimists. That's not so anymore. In England, we have the Minister of Loneliness. It's kind of a crazy world we're building. I hope that in this room, we're all future optimists. This is kind of a leading question. Are we all future optimists here? Yeah. And that's why I think that it's worth looking at those three waves, the three big waves coming. One is the tech wave, the other is the talent wave, and the third one, obviously, is also the think wave. The machines are taking over a lot of the regular stuff, so we have to think better, we have to think smarter, and that's why I think this is a fantastic conference to be at. So I really congratulate you on your place to be. This is the best place to be, not only in Oslo, but in Norway today. When we got together some years back, we did it based on those 17 goals. I'm not going to spend time on it because I know that you've seen it before and I know that you know a lot about it. But one of those things that makes 2019 so special, and also I would say to take up the lead from Oslo, so special, is this graph that I stolen from Thomas Friedman from his last book. And it basically says that we are getting a bit more stupid on our own every week. So we better have to become smarter at collaborating. And the opportunity gap between the blue one going up there, which is the technology ability, and then or human adaptability, the opportunity gap is increasing. And that's why innovation has become so much more important. And obviously, as you know, a lot of innovation happens from startups, and that's why it's important to put together some of the best startups with some of the best existing companies out there. And that's what I'm spending most of my time on. These are Norwegian companies, but some of them have already most of their business outside of Norway. But what we try to do is to put them together. And that was based on what I learned when I was starting my first 10 companies. Because when I came back from my sail trip, I found that when I started the first company, I had to put my house up for mortgage. I had to spend the first 500,000 kroner to buy a machine. And then when we got the first customer, we had to buy another machine because we had to have a copy of what we were doing because we had signed up something. So basically, starting a business in 1992 was crazy. It cost more than 1 million kroner, which is in euro, 100,000 euro, just to start. And at the same time, in Norway, I'm not sure, because I know a lot of you are from other countries as well, but in Norway, nobody had any idea about entrepreneur being sexy. At that time, being an entrepreneur really basically meant that nobody would hire you. So my friends felt a bit sorry for me. They said, okay, you couldn't get a job, so you had to start one. And I guess that's also why I became the boss for quite a while. But it's been over the last, I would say the last 25 years, it's become 1,200 arbeidsplasser. What's the jobs in 12 companies. I'm pretty proud of that. But it's also showed me that some of those things that we really didn't have in 1992 and onwards, there was no one to talk to, there was no collaboration. Basically, the governmental bodies really thought that we were crazy as well, as did our parents. And so when we look at it, what has happened is that we started out the first incubator in Norway in 1998. And we had to explain what was an incubator. Everybody thought that we were doing something in hospitals, trying to take care of small newborns. So the word incubator was in itself crazy. Then after a while, we saw people coming together and joining forces, and then you have the accelerator programs. I know that these words are now quite regular, but I would say that one of the things that really started to help things in Norway, and in Oslo in particular, because we are in Oslo, the largest town, is the early phase help that you got with also some additional funding. But at the same time, something else started to happen, and that was that some of the people owning offices in Oslo said that, well, you don't really have to sign up to a 3-year lease anymore. We've seen this particularly over the last few years. 3 years ago in London, more than 10% of inner London were co-working spaces. And I went back to some of my Norwegian friends sitting in Norwegian companies and said, shouldn't we do more about that in Norway? At that time, it was only a couple of places, Gründerhus and Mesh and a few other places. Now we're starting to see the same trend happening here in Oslo and in other places also in Norway. And this is a global trend. You can basically now sit down almost anywhere, pay less than 100 euro, sit there for a month and then be gone the next month. That's a lot easier to start up a business when you can do that. And instead of buying your own Unix server, you can basically hire some space at one of those web services, for example, Amazon Web Services, which is one of those. So all of the technical limitations that you had to deal with is taken away. What does that mean? It means that it's a lot easier to start up a company today, but it also means then that since it's a lot easier, a lot of people are doing it, and very often they're doing it with the need for support. So the incubator model in Oslo, I would say, has come a long way. Are we as strong as Stockholm? That probably goes to say, I would say, for example, in the finance sector, yes, we are. In the green energy sector, I think we are. And also in the health sector, With the Oslo Cancer Cluster, for example, I think we are. In some other areas, we still have ways to go. For example, Helsinki has a gaming cluster, which is really far ahead of both Stockholm and Oslo at this point in time. But what I tried to do here for you guys is to say that there's the incubators, and there's some examples that we put up there. There are many more of them today. And there's also the accelerators, but you also hopefully see that there are some differences. An accelerator program is more of a program with a 6-month period or a 3-month period, and after that period in time, you're supposed to kind of be either gone or moved on to the other next stage. And the way they help you in those accelerators, if you pick a good accelerator, how many of you have knowledge of accelerators in your hometown? Okay, some of you. And these accelerators really deserve the name, and I think they're doing a fantastic job. The best ones are really, really helping a lot. And then in Norway, which is a bit different than in other countries, we also have this governmental sector, which is called virkemiddelapparatet. And these are the governmental bodies that are also trying to help. However, we do have a problem in that area that many of those that are trying to help have never really started anything. Which is why I'm saying sometimes that they are a bit like swimming trainers, swimming coaches that has never been in the pool. And that's still a bit difficult. So my Open Innovation Lab's answer to that is to say that if you're working in Innovation Norway or in SIVA or in Doga, you're doing a great job. But 3 months of the year, you should work for free for some of those startups or scale-ups, trying to help them. Thank you. Were you the only one liking that idea? We've been working at it for a couple of years, and I also noted some other ideas that we came up with here today. For example, this crazy idea of saying that if you're hiring someone, giving them a job, you have to pay taxes for that. It's kind of crazy because we're moving into a world now where we will have a lot of people that will not have regular jobs. We should actually give incentives for that, which is something you said in your excellent speech this morning. So just to kind of round it off, there's a lot of help. The problem, obviously, as you know, is Norway is tiny, tiny small. We saw it on this pixel graph. So the only way we can survive is that we really start behaving in this way. We need to be much better at swimming in the same direction, having the same goal, and then that's the only way we can kind of beat Silicon Valley, the Chinese, and the others. But the good thing, because we are collaborating with them, is that they are looking more and more into Oslo and Norway and to the Nordics in order to see how we are doing things. So on the social level, I think we're pretty well off, Per Espen, and I think that's why we should end, saying that the future is going to be more VUCA-oriented, and we are in a great position in Norway to help and lead that world. So thank you.